Future reference. Good evening, folks. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Tonight, we are talking about the year-end boost, helping your student finish strong and plan what's next. This is one of the Office of Student Success Services webinars that we do for our parents, and it's a delight for me to be here with you. I am Joanne Goldwater. I have the most wonderful job on campus. I connect students to the people, programs, resources, support systems, services, activities that help them be successful in and out of the classroom, thrive, and persist to graduation. What an awesome job! I'm the Associate Dean for Retention and Student Success. I'm also the Seahawk Family Liaison, so I talk to parents a lot. Every day, I speak to somebody. Today I spoke to two parents. Kind of a slow day for me, actually. So I welcome phone calls, emails, whatever. I'm here to help not only the students, but also the parents. So let's get into tonight's session a little bit, shall we? So this is an overview of what we're going to be talking about. I want to give you information so that you can share information with your student so that they can finish the semester on a really strong note. This time of year, motivation tends to dip a little bit, so we're going to talk a little bit about how to keep that motivation and momentum going without adding negative pressure, how to help your students stay organized for their final exams, manage everything that they've got coming in the next 3.5 weeks. Planning for the summer, some of your students will be coming home for just 3 months because they're going to be coming back here in August. Others, they're going to be home maybe a little bit longer because they're graduating in May. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And then for those who are coming back for the fall, we're going to talk about preparing for the fall semester. So with all that being said, if you would, please put in the chat, what do you hope that I'll cover before the end of the webinar? What didn't I cover just a moment ago? Put it in the chat so I can keep up and hopefully address those questions, issues, concerns before the end of the session. Okay, that would be really helpful to me. Of course, if you think I've got it all covered, great. I will be covering all of your questions at the end of the presentation. So please put them in the chat and I promise to go back to the chat at the end. So while you're in the chat, if your student is graduating this May, please put into the chat May. That way I'll know if we have parents who are parents of seniors. If your student will be returning to the college in the fall, type in fall so that I know that they're coming back so I can see how many we have. I'm seeing lots of falls. I see internship information. I will try to get to that. Um, Also, if your student will be living on campus in the fall, type RES, R-E-S, standing for resident. If your student will be living off campus, type off. That way I just get a feel for who's in my audience tonight. I'm seeing lots of residents. I see a fall resident, so I'm assuming that someone is planning on graduating in December or studying abroad in the spring. Excellent, excellent. This is very helpful for me. I appreciate you taking the time to answer these questions. Okay, so let's do a little poll. You're attending tonight's session because please list the number in the chat. I'm worried that having my child home all summer will cramp my style, and I need some tips to deal with them. Or number two, I don't know how to help my student finish the semester without falling apart. And that could be the student falling apart or the parent falling apart. Take your pick. Or number three, I'm trying to figure out if senioritis is contagious. Number four, Googling how to motivate a college student felt insufficient. You want more information. Or number five, I just want to help without getting the eye roll, the dreaded eye roll. I'm seeing twos, 1 and 5, 4, 2 and 5, 5. Yeah, The eye roll thing, isn't that just, ugh? It's like nails on a chalkboard for me. I get it. Okay, twos. Yep, 2 and 5. Okay, good to know. Good to know. Thank you, folks. I appreciate this. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about why this time of year can be so challenging. Everyone on campus refers to April as being the April sprint to the end because there is so much going on, so much to do. Case in point, this past Saturday, we had Admitted Seahawk Day, we had World Carnival going on, we had Beta Bay Service Day, and that was just one day. We've got recitals happening, art exhibitions. The students have papers to do, projects to work on, presentations to work on, planning and doing their final exams. Plus, add to all of that, we've got this beautiful weather after a very long, difficult winter where we had some days where we missed classes because of the bad weather. So, a lot of stuff piling up on the students right now. So, if you've got a senior in your family, there's also the St. Mary's Project that's coming on. So, there's lots happening. So we tend to see sometimes that their motivation to do their academic work starts to dip. We're getting late in the semester, they're tired, they don't want to be waking up at for their 8:05 class, they don't want to be going to their 6:10 p.m. class. They're having trouble getting to do their work. And of course, many of the students are doing room selection right now, trying to make decisions about who they're living with, where they're going to live. Oh, I didn't get the townhouse I wanted. Now what do I do? Lots of stress associated with that. Course registration is still going on. In fact, we just reopened registration today at noon. So students are now going back through the course selection system to find more classes or to change their classes. So that's kind of stressful for them. And then academic planning. If they're thinking about studying abroad, are they doing an internship next year? How do they plan to graduate in 4 years? It's becoming real for them. And then some of our students are beginning to question, gee, did I choose the right major? Because I'm struggling in such and such class. So maybe this isn't the right major for me. So what do I do if it isn't the right major? Or maybe I haven't chosen a major yet. How do I choose a major? Some students have to decide on internships. They still are trying to figure out their summer plans. Lots of these decisions coming down on them. And then, of course, we've got goodbyes. For some of our students, they're only going to be saying goodbye for 3 months because they're going to be back here in August. Other students are going to take a leave of absence, or they're withdrawing from the college, or they're graduating. So their goodbyes may be a lot longer. And that can be very stressful because they have to say goodbye to their friends, their significant others, faculty and staff with whom they are very close. So it can be really challenging to get through these last few weeks of the semester. So, how can you help parents? I urge you to be a coach. Don't try to manage their lives right now. That's not what you should be doing. You're coaching them. You want to support them, help them prioritize. Think about it in 4 quadrants. You've got your urgent and important things. You've got not urgent but important things. You've got urgent but not important things, and then not urgent and not important things. That last category, that's off the table. They shouldn't be focusing a lot of time and energy on things that are not urgent and not important. They really need to be focusing on the things that are important. Urgent or not urgent, the important things need their attention right now. So help them prioritize those. Please encourage your students to use our campus resources. I'll be talking about them in just a few minutes, but it's not too late. They can and should use us. They're going to feel stress. They're going to feel anxious. What will help them reduce that stress and anxiety is to plan ahead. I was just having a conversation this afternoon with a student who told me that they tend to get very anxious when they're taking tests. And we talked about the fact that if they plan further ahead to do the studying that they need to do, to rewrite their notes, to redo their notes in graphics, pictures, diagrams, charts instead of word, 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 because we tend to remember pictures easier than words. So rewrite your notes using those pictures or concept maps. Start studying instead of 3 days before an exam. How about 10 days before the exam? Build that confidence. Review, work with a study group, come up with practice quizzes, practice tests, study guide, work with your study group. These are the kinds of things that can build their confidence, reduce the stress because they're planning ahead, giving themselves more time to study. That's really important. And parents, specifically for you, please focus on the effort that your students are making, the progress that they've made since the beginning of the semester, or even since the beginning of the fall semester, and their persistence, their stick-to-itiveness. Okay? Don't just focus on their grades. It's more important that they learn the material than make that A or B. If they make a C, but they integrate that information into their head so that they can use that information later, much more important than getting that high grade. So there are some simple questions that you can ask and should be asking your student. You'll notice that many of these are open-ended questions. They require more than a one-word response. Not all of them, but most of them. So ask your student, what are your biggest priorities before finals? Might be very eye-opening for you to hear them. What's your plan for studying and completing projects? Help them think through that plan. Do you need to meet with any of your professors? Chances are, for some of them, they're going to say yes. For some of them, they're going to say no, but you know better. You know they should be talking to their professor, so encourage them to do that. Have you registered for fall classes? Believe it or not, I saw the number earlier today, 80 something students have not registered yet for classes. For some of them, it's because they just don't care. They know they'll get into classes, but they really should be enrolling right now for classes. The last day to register for the fall semester is May 1st. So please ask them if they've registered. And if they haven't, please encourage them to do so. If they have, ask them what classes they got into. If they have not registered for classes, ask them, who do you think you can talk to about fall classes? The correct answer here would be their academic advisor, the registrar's office, or the Office of Student Success Services, my office. We are all here to help our students. And then also ask them, hey, what are your summer plans? If they haven't already finalized them with you, probably a good idea for you to know what they're planning on doing. Are they coming home? Are they doing an internship? Are they taking summer classes? Are they traveling? Good idea for you to know. So how do students stay organized for finals? This is again for you parents. Please encourage your student to write down all of these important dates, exam dates, and they should know when their final exams are. That information should be on their syllabus. There's also information on the college website. All they have to do is Google final exams, and they'll be able to find the final exam schedule. They should be writing down all the due dates that they have left for any assignment that is due before the end of this semester. That includes their papers, projects, presentations, all of that. And then once they have that information on their calendar, work backward to make a study plan. I'll talk a little bit more about that in just a few moments. Use that planner or the calendar to keep track of all of these dates, the due dates, and when they're going to do DO, the work before it's due, DUE. We call this the do list in our office. We want to encourage students to break down those big assignments into smaller, manageable steps. So they put the due date of that big assignment on their calendar, and then those smaller steps are the do part of this plan. And they need to time that out. So if they have a major paper that's due on May 1st, when do they need to start it? They need to break it up into smaller steps. They don't have to do their 5-page paper the night before it's due. They could start it 10 days beforehand and do a little bit each day. That makes it much less overwhelming and much more doable and manageable. We also suggest that they study in focused blocks of time. They know when their classes are. They're going to be in class Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 10:30 to 11:20. They know their schedule. They should create a schedule for studying. So they designate a specific time to do work for each class each week. So every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 2 until 4, they're going to work on their History 219 course. And every Tuesday and Thursday morning from 9 to 11, they're going to do their Math 221 homework. And on Tuesday and Thursday afternoon from 3 to 5, they're going to do their Psychology 206 work every week, the same time period for those classes. Okay? And then they really should start early to reduce that stress. I cannot emphasize that enough. Part of what we see, and it becomes palpable on campus, you can feel it. The stress goes up and up and up as we get closer to exams because they haven't started soon enough. So all of this work is coming due within a short period of time, and that can be very overwhelming for them. So how do they maintain their motivation and momentum? Please remind your student that this is a short but important stretch of time. We have 27 days until the last day of exams, which is May 11th. Okay, 27 days. For those of you who have seniors, 32 days until commencement. Not that I'm counting down or anything. Encourage your students. Please push them on this. They need to get enough sleep every single night. Go to bed at the same time. Wake up at the same time. Pulling an all-nighter is the single worst thing they can do for their learning because they don't have enough time to get the memory from what they learned yesterday from short-term memory into long-term memory. So it just goes out of their head. They've got to get that 7 to 9 hours of sleep. Much better for them to go to sleep at a reasonable time and wake up a little early than try to pull an all-nighter. They also need to eat nutritious meals. Now, I'm not just talking about chips and hot dogs and pizza. They need good nutrition during exams and before exams. They need study time, okay? They have to have that routine. They also need to exercise. Exercise is really important, not only for the body, but also for the mind. It also helps them with sleep. So please help them with that. And again, celebrate the progress that they're making, not just the results. And please encourage them to ask for help. And speaking of help, here are some resources that the students can and should be using. They need to be talking to their academic advisor. That's the person who knows them really, really well. They should talk to them if and when they need assistance or support. They should go to the professor's office hours, what I like to call student visiting hours. That's when the professors have open time to meet with the students. Students don't need to make appointments. Now, if the student has a class that conflicts with the professor's office hours, then they can ask to schedule an appointment. But otherwise, just go to those office hours. The faculty are just sitting there waiting for students to come in, and that's a great time to ask about the upcoming final exam, the format. Hey, can you look over this paper, this draft? What should I be doing differently for the next quiz? Do you have any study tips? Blah, blah, blah. Lots of things that they could be discussing with the professors. It's not too late to get tutors. They can get a free tutor by contacting the Office of Student Success Services, sending an email to tutoring@smcm.edu, dropping by our office in Glendenning 230, or calling our office at 240-895-4388. They could go to the Writing and Speaking Center. Lots of students have papers due in the next few weeks. The Writing and Speaking Center can help students who are having a writer's block. They can help make their papers coherent and cohesive, make sense, help them figure out what's not working. Is this a thesis statement? Is this a well-written paragraph? They can also help students who have to create slide decks for their presentations that are coming up. They can also rehearse with them. So lots of opportunities to be using the Writing and Speaking Center. If they're struggling with their mental health, if they're struggling with anxiety, stress, depression, please encourage them to go to counseling services. The phone number to schedule an appointment is 240-895-2159. Students can also use Protocol, which is our 24/7 support line. And that phone number, if you want to write this down, is 240-895-4200. Once again, 240-895-4200. They can also go to walk-in hours. We have walk-in hours at the counseling center every Monday through Friday from 1 to 3 p.m. No appointment needed. Great time for the students to go talk to someone over there. And then, of course, there's OS3, my office. We're always happy to help students. So there's some red flags I want to put in your ear here. Things that you as parents need to be looking out for. Please encourage your student to seek help if they stop attending classes. If you find out they've told you or you've found out some other way that they stopped attending classes, they're just not going anymore. That's a big red warning sign. If they're missing major assignment deadlines, that's a big warning sign, something to be worrying about. If they share with you that they're failing multiple courses, one course, I'm not as worried about that. But if they think they're failing two, three, four classes, huge red warning flag. Please encourage them to come talk to someone. If they seem overwhelmed, you can hear it in their voice, or if you're doing a FaceTime or a Zoom call with them, you can see it in their face. If they shut down, they're just not responding. They aren't communicating. They aren't doing any work. They're not going out and engaging with other people. Those are warning flags for you. If they're not registered for classes next semester, something's going on, particularly if they don't seem to care that they're not registered for classes next semester. If they're avoiding checking their email or communicating with their professors, that's a red flag. So if they're sharing this information with you, please encourage them to use the resources I just mentioned, okay? Or you, the parent, can call me, okay? I will do my level best to try to get them connected to the resources that they need on campus. So let me know. Email me, call me. My contact information is at the end of the slide deck, so I'll share that with you. Now, if there is an urgent concern, you're really, really worried about their mental health, you're really worried about the depression, and they don't seem to be responding, please don't hesitate to call public safety. Public safety is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Their phone number is 240-895-4911. Once again, 240-895-4911. Don't hesitate to call them if you need them. So, what are some things that you should say if you want to apply negative pressure, which I don't recommend? You really don't want to say these things, okay? Why didn't you start earlier? That's a valid question, but that's not going to be a very supportive question. You just need to work harder. That may be the case, but again, that sounds pretty judgy. This is unacceptable. You're right, it probably is unacceptable. But you don't want to say that to them. That's going to turn them off. Okay. You're going to fail if you don't fix this. Yikes. That's kind of scary. You need to figure this out right now. Yeah, they probably need to figure something out pretty quickly. But the tone there, that's going to turn them off. And students really get turned off When I was in college, I never, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, things are very different now compared to when I was in college years ago, and probably pretty different from when you were in college years ago. Okay? So please keep that in mind. What would be supportive would be for you to say, what's your plan for finishing the semester strong? Sorry about the phone in the background. Another question to ask, how can I support you? A really good question. What are your biggest priorities right now? Help them prioritize what's important versus what's not important, what's urgent versus what's not urgent. They might need some clarity, some objective person helping them think through those priorities. Ask them, have you talked with your professors, your advisor, or OS3? If the answer is no, encourage them to come to us. Here's a nice question or comment. Let's think through your next steps together. Oh, partnership. That's a great idea. And then this one is really important. Your encouragement and confidence in them will strengthen them tremendously. I know you can handle this. You've done hard things before. That's a great statement. It's so helpful. So think about these as statements that you could be saying to them to help coach them through these next few weeks. Here at St. Mary's, we have an ethos. It's called the St. Mary's Way. As a community, we believe in the St. Mary's Way. Part of the St. Mary's Way emphasizes academic challenge and support. We want to challenge our students. We want to make sure that they feel like they're learning new things. But we also want to support them because we know some of our students struggle. So we will support them as they are learning. We also strongly emphasize that close faculty staff mentoring. Lots of students find someone on the faculty or staff that they can build that kind of a mentoring, honest relationship. That's important. That's part of the St. Mary's Way. Experiential learning and research, learning by doing. That's important for our students. Learning how to do research. That's important. That's part of the Honors College promise, where we guarantee students will have the opportunity to study abroad, do directed research, and or do internships. Every student can do that. We also strongly emphasize community and belonging. Our students belong at St. Mary's. We need your help to push them and to remind them of that, especially if they're struggling, especially if they're thinking about changing their major because they're not doing well in the courses in their major. We also believe very strongly that it's our responsibility as a community to prepare our students for life after St. Mary's. We know that finishing strong is part of developing that resilience to be able to bounce back. It's important for them to develop their sense of independence and that sense of responsibility so that they can go forth into the world as confident, successful, well prepared, skilled graduates. That's what we aspire to for all of our students. So there are a few end of year academic reminders that I want to share with you so that you can remind your student. They need to submit all of their work by the deadlines that are posted by their faculty members. When they have presentations, and lots of students have presentations in class or their St. Mary's projects or research presentations, whatever, please encourage them to dress professionally for those presentations, even if the professor didn't say that they should do so. It's kind of an unwritten thing. They should know not to wear holey jeans, not to wear midriff bearing tops or spaghetti straps or stiletto heels or micro mini anything. They should be wearing appropriate slacks and a button down shirt or a skirt and top that's appropriate. Okay. The first impression that is made in those first 3 seconds, that's research right there, 3 seconds says a lot. So if someone is dressed professionally, their audience will assume they probably know something that's worth listening to. So Encourage them to dress professionally. Like I said, they've got to get enough sleep, folks. Really important. And those nutritious meals and stay hydrated. I take my water bottle with me everywhere I go when I'm on campus. Our students are encouraged to do the same thing. And that water bottle contains water. I'll leave it at that. They've got to show up for their exams. Set 3 alarms if you need to, or if they need to. Have a friend knock on their door. They've got to show up for the exam. If for some reason they missed the exam, they had a flat tire on their way back to campus, they overslept, the minute they can, they've got to contact that professor to see if they can make up the exam. They shouldn't wait 24 hours. They shouldn't wait 48 hours. The minute they can get to an email, a phone, some way of communicating with that professor and apologize, Professor, I'm sorry I missed the exam. What can I do to make up for it? And for students who use our testing center, they should be scheduling all of their exams now, this week, next week at the latest. Don't wait until May 4th because I can tell you the testing center gets very crowded. And if there isn't enough room in the testing center, the student is going to have a hard time taking that exam. So they really need to get on the ball and schedule those exams now. So a few more tasks. These are non-academic tasks. Please remind your student to be doing this. They should be returning rented books to the campus store by the campus store deadline, which is typically the last day of exams. For our seniors, please remind them to pick up the regalia at the campus store by May 15th. And ideally, it should be ironed because it's been folded up in a bag for a few months. So it would be a good idea for them to iron their regalia before they wear it on the 16th. I strongly encourage students to start packing before exams begin. Don't wait until after they're done with their exams. They really should start packing now. They will also have to clean and vacate their room when they are done with their exams and complete the express checkout process. That includes returning their room key and their mailbox key. By the way, folks who live in the townhouses and apartments, they need to be doing a deep cleaning. Having been in residence life, I know that some of our students haven't done much cleaning in their units for a few months. It's nasty. So they really need to start doing that cleaning before exams start. We don't want to have to charge them for not cleaning their units properly. Non-graduating students need to vacate their rooms by noon on May 12th at the latest, 24 hours after their last exam, or by noon on May 12th, whichever comes first. The students who are graduating, if they live in a residence hall or a suite, they have to be out by 3 p.m. on May 16th. If they're graduating in May and they live in the townhouses or apartments, they have to be out by 5 p.m. on May 16th. So for parents of seniors who are graduating in May, please arrive early on May 16th. The ceremony will start at 10 o'clock, 10 a.m. sharp. The only reason we would not start at 10 a.m. would be if we have some storms with lightning in the area. We will delay if that's the case, but if it's drizzling, we will proceed. Okay, so you want to get there early. We'll have a huge tent on the townhouse green. So folks can sit under the tent. Once the tent is full, we also have lots of seating outside of the tent. So come prepared, bring your sunscreen, bring your umbrella, bring the chairs if you want to sit in your comfortable chairs as opposed to the chairs that we'll have. Please keep all alcohol and pets at home. We do not allow alcohol or pets for the ceremony. Official photos will be taken by a professional photographer of your student shaking hands with the president, and then that photo will be sent home. And please, 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 please plan your lunch or dinner party, whatever, for after 3 o'clock if your student lives in a residence hall or suite, or after 5 o'clock if they live in the townhouses or apartments. On behalf of the Office of Residence Life, we beg you, don't plan something for 1 o'clock if they have to be out by 3 o'clock. Okay? Move out first, then party to your heart's content. Okay, parents of graduates, looking ahead, think about this. Is your student going to be living at home? If so, are they paying rent? Or are they helping with chores? Please help them work on their professional wardrobe. Okay? They need to get ready for that first job. And wearing micro minis and other things like t-shirts and jeans may not cut it. So help them with that professional wardrobe. Let them know what is appropriate to wear to the workplace these days. Remind them to update their resume and their LinkedIn profile to show that they have graduated. That's a big deal. And then discuss expectations with them. Will they have a curfew this summer? Will they have use of the family car? Do you expect them to join you for meals? If so, when? Every meal? Once a week? Once a month? What about kitchen use? What about leaving food in the fridge or eating the food in the fridge? Oh, that was one of the things when my oldest son came home from college. And I would have these leftovers, planning to serve them the next night, but he would gobble them up. Okay? So have those conversations. What about their significant other? What if the significant other comes to visit? Where will the significant other stay? These are all conversations that you need to have with your recent graduates. Okay, so for parents of seniors who are not graduating in May, if they will be graduating in the summer, please encourage them to attend their class and finish the work by August. I was working with a student last summer who was supposed to graduate in May but was 2 credits short, signed up for a course to take during the summer. For whatever reason, didn't go to the class, so didn't pass the class. Signed up again to take a class in the fall, didn't go to class, didn't pass that class. They are now enrolled in a course, and I'm pretty confident they're going to pass it this time. Please encourage your student to attend those classes and finish their work. If they take a class someplace else, they need to send their final transcript to St. Mary's so that we can see that they have completed the course, see what grade they got, make sure it's equivalent to one of our classes, and then we can give them their degree. If they're going to be graduating at the end of the fall semester, again, they need to attend their classes and finish all of their work by December 18th. That's the last day of exams. They need to turn in all of their work so that they can be certified and graduate in December. And please know that 30 of the last 36 credits that a student does have to be taken at St. Mary's. Okay? Okay, so for parents of continuing students, this summer, think of it as a time for the students to recharge their batteries, a little bit of rest and rejuvenation, okay, to help them relax a little bit and prepare to come back for the fall semester. They may want to take a class and then transfer those credits back to St. Mary's. They may work to earn money. They may complete an internship. If they can't find a job, if they can't find an internship, encourage them to do some volunteer work or to do some research. That volunteer work, particularly, that can help them gain important skills that they can put on their resume. Okay, so that can be very useful. Even if they don't get paid, it still can have a benefit to them. Okay, so how can families support their students during the summer? You might want to think about discussing goals with them. What are their goals for the summer? What are their goals for the fall, for the next academic year, and so on and so forth? Okay? Give them the opportunity to share with you what they're thinking about. It could be very illuminating for you. Encourage them to do some career exploration. This is a great time to do that. I did a summer job once and I realized retail was not what I wanted to be doing. That was eye-opening for me. I wouldn't have known that had I not tried to do that kind of a job. Help them pay I'm sorry, help them plan for fall costs and logistics. So they have to think about when are they coming back? When do they want to be finishing their summer work or volunteer work, whatever? Remind them that they have to send their transcript to St. Mary's. Think about how they're going to pay for things, that sort of stuff. Please encourage their independence and responsibility. They've been on their own for the last 9 months. Now they're coming home to you. So it's important that they have the opportunity to use some of the independence. They've been doing their laundry for the last 9 months. Let them do laundry at home. Give them responsibilities. Give them some freedom. And then discuss your expectations. Like we just talked about on the previous slide, talk about curfew. Will they have a curfew? The family car, meals, food in the fridge, their significant other. Okay, so there are some reminders for our continuing students for the fall. Students should be reminded, please tell them that they should meet with their advisor when they get back here in August or September, that they should be checking their class schedule in August so that they can make changes if needed during the course change time period, which ends on September 11th. They should be reviewing their degree requirements and progress. Please note, it's not the academic advisor's responsibility to keep up with their degree requirements. It's the student's responsibility. So if they're 2 credits short and they can't graduate in May, that's on the student for not keeping up with those requirements and making sure that they know when they took certain courses and what grades they got. The summer and the fall are also good times to explore majors and minors. Maybe they want to change their major. Maybe they want to add a major. Maybe they haven't declared a major, but they need to. Or they are interested in a minor. We have a majors and minors fair, which is going to be, I believe, the date is September 18th. Great opportunity for them to learn more about majors. And then they really should be thinking about their leadership development skills and the opportunities to learn those skills. How are they going to be involved in activities next semester? Are they going to be joining a club? Are they going to get involved with SGA? Are they going to join an advisory board, a committee? This is really important because when they graduate, thousands of other students are graduating at the same time. What's going to differentiate them will be those leadership skills. So they need to plan to have opportunities to learn and hone those leadership skills. Please know that your support really, really matters, folks. Students will always do better when their families encourage the students, listen to the students, ask open-ended questions like, what do you need me to do? How can I support you? If you can help connect them to the resources that we have available and remind them that they belong at St. Mary's. Some of our students, if they don't do well, they feel lost. They feel like they don't belong here. They do belong here. Encourage them to come talk to me, to come talk to the other staff in the Office of Student Success Services, their academic advisor. We have so many people on campus that really care and want to help the students be successful. So please remind them they do belong here and we want them here. So here's the contact information that I mentioned earlier. You've got the contact information for my office. You've also got the contact information for reaching me as the Seahawk Family Liaison. You can also join our Facebook page, the St. Mary's College of Maryland Parents Group. I didn't start this, but I do participate so I can give appropriate, accurate information to the parents on that Facebook page. So please feel free to join the St. Mary's College of Maryland Parents Group on Facebook. And I do thank you for joining me. And now I'm going to go back through the chat and try to answer your questions. Let's see. Let's see. Internship information. Students who need internship information are encouraged to go talk to Meredith Weirs. She is in the Office of Career Development and Community Engagement, which is located in Glendenning Hall, 210. She is our internship coordinator. So she can walk students through the process of finding an internship, getting enrolled for internship credit, all of the ins and outs of internships. She's our internship expert. So I sincerely suggest that you encourage your student to talk to Meredith in the Career Development Center. Let's see, looking for stress management techniques and study skills for freshmen new to finals loads. Oh, that's a whole nother session altogether. Um, I think I've covered a few strategies for stress management. Planning ahead is particularly helpful. For study strategies, I like I said, the do list where they list the what they need to have done, the due dates, and then they break it up into smaller steps to do the work before it's due. Something else that I encourage is what I call the what, when, where method. Be very specific when you're putting stuff on your planner or calendar. What are you going to do specifically and measurably? Not just read the textbook, but read pages 10 through 20. Okay? Be specific. When you're going to do it. Not, oh, I'll get to it this weekend. No, Saturday from 2 until 4 o'clock. Okay? And then where are they going to do it? Where do they feel like they're most productive on campus? Is it Learning Commons? Is it the library? Is it the study room on their floor? Wherever they feel they can be most productive, that's where they should do their studying. Okay? And they should put that in their planner or on the calendar. So, what, when, where? Be specific and measurable. Okay? Breaking down all of those assignments and making sure you're setting aside enough time to do each assignment is critical. If you think that you can read 10 pages in 10 minutes, okay, you're a speed reader. Not everybody can do that. So maybe you give yourself a little more time. And if you have a little extra time because you got through the work quickly, yay, reward yourself. Start the next project or the next part of the assignment early, but don't shortchange the amount of time it's going to take. And our students really should be setting aside at least 6 to 8 hours of study time for each class each week outside of class. Okay. At this point, if they're struggling in a course, they should be planning on 10 hours outside of class, including making flashcards and using those flashcards, working with a study group, rewriting their notes. Rewrite your notes again. Read your notes aloud because the more parts of the brain you engage, the more you retain. So, rewriting in longhand will help you remember. Reading the notes aloud will help you remember because that's using a different part of the brain. Listening to yourself uses yet another part of the brain. So, you're engaging more parts of the brain. Okay. So, instead of using words, use pictures in the notes. Going to professor's office hours, that can certainly help. That's a great study strategy. That study group where you each come up with a practice test and exchange, then you know, oh, I know this information, but I don't know this information. I need to study more on this information. So those are some of the study strategies we use for our students. But the most important one is to start early with the studying, with the writing the papers, the projects, the presentations. Don't shortchange yourself by thinking you can get it all done in just a few days. That doesn't work. For stress management, exercise is a good thing. Getting enough sleep is a good thing. If they are stressed while they're taking the exam, take deep breaths. They can inhale through their nose while counting silently to 5, hold their breath silently, counting to 5, exhale through their mouth while silently counting to 5. Repeat that a few times. That brings oxygenated blood up to the brain and will help them relax a little bit, plus get the brain cells going. They can look around the room and use their 5 senses. What is one thing they can see, one thing they can touch, one thing that they can hear, one smell that they can smell? I don't recommend that they taste something in the room, but what is a favorite taste? Okay? That gets them in the here and now and gets their head out of focusing on that exam. Okay? There are some other stress management techniques they can use. A stress ball. that can work very well. Some of our students do well if they doodle while they're listening to the professor talk, things like that. Can we talk about moving out of the dorms, the dates? I think I covered that already. Within 24 hours of their last exam or by noon on May 12th. If they are graduating, they have to be out of the residence halls and suites by 3 p.m. on the 16th. If they're in the townhouses or apartments, they have to be out by 5 o'clock. Let's see, we're planning what we need to pick her up. Yep. Bring boxes, bring bags, whatever they can use to load up their stuff, um, and just stuff it in there. If you live far away, you might want to encourage your student to rent a storage unit in town so they don't have to move everything home just to move it back here in August. Let's see, what else? Back a few times. Oh, good. So we have an orientation leader parent in the uh, chat. Info about studying abroad. Oh, hadn't planned on talking about studying abroad tonight. Um, if you could provide me with a little more information, Tony, about what you're looking for in terms of study abroad, that would be helpful. Don't know what I don't know. Yep, I get that. Let's see. How are classes taken at another school approved for St. Mary's graduation requirements prior to taking the class? Okay, we have some systems in place. They can talk with our transfer coordinator, Jackie Rogers. They can submit a pre-approval for transfer credit form. They can look on, I'm not sure if it's in our on our website, but I have access to our transfer evaluation system, so I can look up other schools and see if they offer certain classes. So we have various means to make sure that they are getting what they need in terms of the courses that will transfer back to St. Mary's. Let's see, can we get a copy of the slide deck? Yes, it will be posted on our website for OS3, the Office of Student Success Services. We have a parent and family resources webpage, and it will be posted there hopefully by the end of the week, along with this recording. Let's see. I think that takes care of the questions so far. If you have any other questions, I am more than happy to answer them for you. Oh, here's one. Opportunities for marine biology. I believe there are two countries. For more information, who can I contact to get details about study abroad opportunities for marine biology majors? Your student, making sure that they take responsibility for themselves, your student can contact the Office of International Education to get more information about all of the study abroad opportunities. Um, I believe our new program in Denmark and our established program in Australia, James Cook, are very good places for marine biology majors and other STEM majors as well. We have, I think it's 27 programs in different countries. So we've got lots of programs available for the students. The Office of International Education would be fantastic. They can talk to the student about where the programs are, the requirements for each program. In some cases, the student has to have a 2.5 GPA. In other cases, it might be a little bit lower or a little bit higher. Which programs we do tuition exchange for. So you pay St. Mary's tuition. It doesn't cost more to participate in those programs. The deadlines for applying for those programs, scholarship information for studying abroad. Office of International Education has a whole lot of information that the students can use. Whew, that was a lot of information. Any other questions before you leave for the evening? I'm more than happy to answer your questions. I'll even stay a little bit afterwards in case that would be helpful for you. I'm going to stop recording now.